Hi there. I'm in Sardinia on the beach for my daily run. It's wonderful here, so soft and calm and very, very pleasant. So we're here for our summer kite surfing trip because my husband and my older son, Nathan, who is 13, they're both kite surfers, windsurfers, and now both are learning the wind. And my 10-year-old son, Sasha, is also learning the wind. So it's great. It's wonderful. I love watching kite surfs in the air. It's like they're big, beautiful birds, and to see how amazing it must feel. I'm not a kite surfer, but to see how the people are flying above water, especially if they're on foil, it's just incredible. I'm sure it's an incredible experience, and to see how happy my kids and Jerome, when they come back in the evening, it's just very heartwarming. So I do everything possible to make sure to facilitate, to nourish this habit of our family to go places so that they get to kite surf or windsurf. And I just spend a lot of time reading and writing and running on the beach and hiking. So it's also great time for the family to connect, and we are reading a lot on these vacations, and the whole family reads. My 8-year-old daughter is now also very much into reading, so it's a great time. What's interesting to me that even in this kind of environment where it's calm and we are so far from big cities and all the fast pace of the society, it's still not so easy to stay calm. The brain just makes up stories, right? I don't know about you, but for me, I'm quite an anxious person, and so my brain makes up stories without happy end a lot of times. So, for example, let's say my 10-year-old son is not back from school on time. Well, you could be like, well, it's okay, he's just playing longer with his friends, and he's going to come soon. Or he went to his friend's house to do homework, and he just forgot to call me. Well, that would be great to make up those stories, but no. My brain is like, something happened to him, he's hasn't been biking for too long, and he must have been hit by a car because cars here go so fast, and somebody's helping him and he can't remember my phone number. So, or let's say my husband went for a routine doctor appointment and didn't call me right after. So you could be like, well, he went straight to work, he forgot, he had an urgent business meeting, we'll talk later about it. It's no big deal. Would be great, right? But no. My brain is like, oh, well, something must have happened. He must have learned something about his health that he doesn't know how to share with me. And then I worry. Or let's say I just had a conversation with my client and we agreed that they will be placing a purchase order and everything is great, but then the email is not coming. And, well, you could be like, well, it's okay. They are busy with something else. It was very clear. We agreed to everything on the call, so what can happen? But no, my storytelling ability is strong. Well, competitor must have come in with a better price, and they're disappointed in us, and now they're going to stop working with us. Yeah. And so what happens then? Then I worry, I'm anxious, I'm sad, devastated. I'm in the story. I assume intentions of other people without checking the facts, because now it's not time to check the facts because I'm already in the feelings of the anxiety. And then it's very difficult to start going to the scientist's brain of what's real, what is really happening, what are they really thinking, and then react to that versus reacting to my story. Yes, and I've been like this all my life, and so I've been doing a lot of work on this. I've been doing the work of Byron Katie on 4 questions. So here are the questions. Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? How do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? Who would you be without the thought? So she's inviting us to answer these questions and encourages us to turn the thought around to consider the opposite perspective or different variations. Of course, mindfulness practice, of course, meditation, expanding that space between the stimulus and response, that's all very, very useful. And I am doing the work, and I'm meditating every day, and I do Vipassana meditation. So that's all good, and I, of course, lots of therapy to understand why my mind is so anxious and where it's coming from, and process all these instances of panics because I made something up. So that's all in the works, and I have been doing it for years. And I found that actually the most impactful of all the things that I am doing to address the situation of making up stories and being anxious about them is to tell other people about it, to share the fact that I make up stories, to share the stories that I made up, to actually tell other people what stories I made up about them, which is so challenging, most of the time, always embarrassing for me. And it's also the work of not judging myself, to not feeling, even if I'm judging myself, of course I am, to go ahead and do it anyway. Because that's so liberating to tell other people, oh, I made this up about you. I'm sorry. And then I didn't call you. I stopped talking to you because I made this up about you. It's very powerful. Also, telling the stories that I made up to the audiences during my workshops is extremely useful, because then what happens is that other people get up and say, well, me too. Let me tell you what I make up. Or let me tell you what happened with me. And that's great because, first of all, we witness each other. We understand we're not alone in this. So here's my story. One of many, many of them that I wanted to share today. So we were in Antiparos with my husband and my family, kite-surfing spot as well, of course. And for several days, my husband was kite-surfing every day from morning till evening. It's an amazing kite-surfing spot there. And I was with the kids on the beach, reading a lot and playing with them. It was wonderful, wonderful, relaxing time. And then one day, my husband comes to the beach saying, well, why don't we go and swim together? And it's been a while, we didn't really connect much. And so I felt quite disconnected, and I wanted to talk, to connect with. Really, I wanted a hug, but didn't understand or did not dare to ask. And so instead, I was trying to connect through talking. And all he wanted was to swim together far, far, and just, stay calm and connected this way. So we did that. We started swimming, and I'm not a very good swimmer. I learned later, like in my 30s, and I'm still not very comfortable with deep water and get quite nervous. I don't quite trust my ability to swim back, and so when we go really far, there is this point there where I'm like, oh, can I really come back? And so we're doing that, and I'm already in that mind of, oh, this is very far, why are we so far? Because I wanted to connect, I was started to not being very nice with Jerome, and started to ask him questions about the future. I was started to get anxious about some story I made up about what's happening in 10 days. So the argument started between us because he wanted to swim calmly together. I wanted to connect, and the only way I was seeing how to connect is to talk about this moment in the future that maybe we're going to have a problem. The argument started getting heated, which is very rare for us because we are very much, both of us, we communicate really well. We are both into nonviolent communication. I feel this is my request kind of people. So at some point here, I'm going to say that when conflict arises, there are always two sides of the story. Right? Like if you ask both people to tell the story, they're going to tell you something very different. And then there's going to be always a third story that is actually what happened, right? So since I was very much in my anxious mind, I'll tell you my story, and then I'll tell you Jerome's story, because as we processed afterwards, I know his story. So as far as I was concerned, arguments started getting heated, and then all of a sudden, Jerome disappeared. I look around, I don't see him. I'm still swimming, I'm still uncomfortable. We're very far. Where's Jerome? Well, he must have gotten upset because of I wasn't being very nice to him, and so he had a heart attack and drowned. Right? What else can happen in open sea out there when the person disappears? Well, I'm sure there are other explanations, but that's not where I was. I was already very anxious, and at that point, thinking that Jerome has drowned, oh my goodness, panic. I look around, I can't find his body. I can't really dive because I am afraid of deep water, and my kids are on the beach, they're sitting quietly and reading, but then, oh my God, now I'm the only parent, so I need to survive this. So I need to swim back, but then how will I remember where we were? And I need to find help, and where do I find help without upsetting my kids? So all this, I'm really in the survival mode of, okay, what do I do? Can I save Jerome? Do I try to dive and save him, or do I swim to the shore and find help? Okay, so finally, survival instinct, I need to survive, because if I drown, then the kids are orphans. So I start finally swimming towards the shore. By the time I get to the shore and I get to standing position, I see Jerome swimming towards me from a different direction. So I realized that he didn't drown, and I start crying, and I'm angry and embarrassed. I'm angry about him disappearing and drowning, and I'm even more angry and embarrassed about me making up this story. Well, Jerome's story. All I wanted was to swim with my wife. Quietly, I haven't talked to her for a while. I was kite surfing, and now there is no wind, and so I'm going to go and connect with her in this very nice, calm weather. We're going to swim very, very far together. It's going to be great. Now, she keeps talking about something in the future that might not even happen. I don't quite understand why she is so focused on that. And so I keep trying to just chill and relax and swim with her. At some point, she's getting really unpleasant with me, and so I think, okay, she doesn't want to swim. Clearly, she wants to be alone because of how she's talking to me. So I'm just going to go for a swim by myself and then come back, and everything is going to be better after this pause. So I tell her, I'm going to go swim by myself, and then we can talk about it later. She dismisses me. So clearly, she wants to be alone. And so I swim away. I swim away, but not too far from her. I keep watching her because she's not a very good swimmer, and she seems upset for whatever reason I don't quite understand. And so I'm swimming kind of diagonally from her, watching her, making sure that she's okay. She, for some reason, stays for a long time in that place where we were together. I'm not clear what's happening, so I keep watching her while I'm swimming, and then finally she starts swimming back to the shore, so I'm swimming towards her as well. And so when she gets there, I'm there as well. When I look at her, she is really clearly very upset, crying, angry. I don't know why. I go hug her. We'll figure it out together. Yes, that happened. So I've told this story to the kids. I've told this story to my friends, to many audiences in my workshops, because I want to be seen and to admit that, yes, I made this up, that my husband drowned. And I didn't even hear him say that he was going to go for a swim. So that's the thing, that's the part of it that I am very interested in, to understand that we have selective listening, hearing in those situations, that when we start spinning the story, when we're anxious, when I am anxious, I start hearing less. And I think I'm a good listener, but there's a lot of work to do here. So, yes, here I am. That's how I make up the stories and how I assume what's happening for other people. There's this very good book called Difficult Conversations, How to Discuss What Matters Most, by the Harvard Negotiation Project, Douglas Stone, Bruce Patton, and Sheila Heen, that I love reading and rereading over and over again. And they talk a lot about us making up stories and assuming intentions of other people. And they say, we assume intentions from the impact on us. The problem is we are often wrong. So it's about, instead of assuming intentions, going and asking, what are your intentions? Yes, and of course, Brené Brown had a lot to say about making up stories. In Rising Strong, she says, in the absence of data, we will always make up stories, right? So it's about going and getting that data. We all have stories we tell ourselves. The danger comes when we don't check our stories. Again, Brené Brown from Brave in the Wilderness. And in Rising Strong again, she says, in the absence of data, we will always make up stories. It's how we are wired. Meaning making is our biology. So I guess it makes me feel better to know that we are wired this way. And we remove this idea of being embarrassed about it, because if this is our biology, then that's how we are built, and it's about how to handle those situations better and more gracefully, right? So I invite everyone here to share how you are making up stories and how you handle the situations, how you handle the feelings that arise from those situations, and if you have any hacks and methods of dealing with it. Yeah, tell us how this works for you. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.